Have you ever been in a room when someone walks in and they don't even say a word, but suddenly everyone's attention just shifts to them? It's funny, we're always told that to have power, you've got to be the loudest one, the one talking the most. But what if that's all wrong? Psychology actually tells us a totally different story. That real power, it's quiet, it's invisible. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the invisible architecture that secretly guides how we all interact. Let's get into it.
Okay, so think about it like this. On one side, you've got what most people think is power. Always talking, reacting to every little thing, constantly looking for that validation. It's a ton of effort, but honestly, the impact is pretty low. But then, on the other side, you have silence, observation, a sense of calm. This is where the real kind of effortless power is. It's all about being the observer in the room, not just another performer on the stage.
And that brings us to this really fascinating question. What if the most potent form of influence is something you can't even see? What if it's all about these silent signals that work almost like a programming language for the human mind? Well, today, we're going to start cracking that code. All right, first up, let's dive right into the chemistry of attraction. We're talking about the deep psychological triggers that make people not only value you, but actually pursue you. And the best part is, this is all about creating genuine connections, not just playing games. So let's talk about a little something called intermittent reinforcement. This is the exact same psychological hook that makes slot machines so addictive, and yeah, why you can't stop checking your social media. See, when you're 100% available all the time, your attention kind of loses its value. It's predictable, but it's that unpredictability, that sense that you're not always there, that makes people start to crave your time.
So how do you actually use this without being a jerk? Well, think about the 80% rule. The idea is to give your warmth and attention about 80% of the time. But that other 20%, that's when you strategically pull back a little. Our brains are absolute pattern-seeking machines, right? So when you break that pattern, it creates this little jolt of unpredictability, which triggers a dopamine hit in their brain. Suddenly they start thinking about you, anticipating your attention.
And really, this whole thing boils down to one simple, powerful economic principle. Scarcity creates value. It's true for gold, it's true for diamonds, and it's absolutely true for your time and your attention. The less available it is, the more precious it becomes. That's just how we're wired. Now here's another really cool psychological tool. It's called the Zeigarnik effect loop. The basic idea is that our brains hate unfinished business. They're designed to remember things that are incomplete. So here's how you use it. You have a really great, engaging conversation. But right at the end, as you're leaving, you give them a soft, impossible command, something playful like, okay, try not to smile when you think about our chat later. Now, for their brain to even process that command, it has to first recall the conversation. And just like that, you've created this little mental loop that keeps you on their mind.
Okay, let's shift gears. Now we're going to talk about the architecture of dominance. And I don't mean being aggressive. I mean learning how to command respect and own your space, often without saying a single word.
Try this next time you're talking to someone. When they ask you a question, instead of jumping to answer, just pause for one full second. It might feel a little awkward at first, but that tiny bit of silence creates this incredible tension and anticipation. It makes whatever you say next feel way more thoughtful, more deliberate, and a heck of a lot more powerful.
Eye contact. It's a game changer. Too little, and you look nervous. Too much, and you kind of look like a serial killer. The sweet spot, according to research, is to maintain eye contact for about 60 to 70% of a conversation. But here's the pro-level trick. Just before you make your most important point, briefly look away, and then lock eyes with them again right as you deliver the line. That little break and re-engagement acts like a magnet, pulling their focus right to your words.
And of course, it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. Real vocal authority isn't about being loud, it's about speaking calmly and maybe just a little bit slower than you normally would. But the absolute key? It's the downward inflection at the end of your sentences. See, when your voice goes up, it sounds like a question, like you're seeking approval. But when your tone goes down at the end, that signals confidence. It signals certainty.
All right, for our final section, let's talk defense. This is about building a fortress inside your own mind. It's how you become resilient, maybe even immune to toxic people and their manipulation tactics. This is all about protecting your own peace.
So, how do you actually deal with a truly toxic or narcissistic person? The trick is you don't. You don't engage, you don't play their game. See, these individuals feed on emotional reactions. That's their fuel, your anger, your hurt, your frantic need to defend yourself. So the solution is simple, but it's not easy. You have to cut off their supply. Stop reacting. Stop explaining yourself. You become, for them, emotionally boring. And eventually, they will just leave. Not because you lost the fight, but because you refuse to even enter the ring.
And this all leads to a really crucial mindset shift. So many of us, especially empathetic people, we walk around like emotional sponges. We just absorb all the negativity from everyone around us. Their stress becomes our stress. Their drama becomes our anxiety. And honestly, it's a direct path to total burnout.
So instead of being a sponge, I want you to try being a mirror. It's a powerful change. When someone comes at you with negativity or criticism, understand the principle of projection. Their words are almost never about you. They're a reflection of what's going on inside of them. If they call you arrogant, maybe it's because deep down they feel insignificant. You start to see that behavior not as an attack, but simply as data about them.
Okay, so let's tie all of this together. We've talked about attraction, dominance, and mental defense. And all these different techniques, they all spring from one single powerful source.
Every single strategy we've gone over today, it all comes down to this one idea: self-regulation. It's the ability to control your own responses, to manage your own emotions, to act with intention instead of just reacting. Because real influence over others always begins with mastery over yourself.
Look, we live in a world of constant noise, where everyone is fighting to be seen, scrambling to perform. Just remember this: the calmest person in the room is almost always the most powerful one. They're not desperately seeking the spotlight. They're back in the shadows, observing, understanding, and choosing their moment perfectly.
So now that you know about these invisible signals, about this silent language of power, I'll just leave you with one final question. What silent signal are you going to choose to send today?